Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Dream Team Tonic podcast. The usual gang here this evening. Ben, Tony, how you both doing? You good?
Yeah, all good, mate.
Good evening, mate. All good?
Fresh new haircut there, Tony.
Yeah, fresh trim. Exactly the same as the little lads.
Not gonna dye it blonde for the new season?
I have been winding my missus up about that, actually.
We got...
She thinks I'm going through a bit of a crisis.
Well, 1 week to go.
If Rovers... Go on, sorry, mate. I was going to say, if Rovers get promoted, then you can dye it blonde.
Yeah, full on Gaza.
Yeah.
That's Pedersen, isn't it? In the chat this evening, we've got Ian Curry, Gary Walker, Andy Barnett, David F, Gaz Paul, and David Parker. Good evening, all. I'm sure there'll be a few tagging along in a second as well. But if you have got any questions, get them in the chat as well, because we haven't got as many questions today. But we're going to kick straight off with them with Wadey. So, how essential is Solanke at Spurs? Or is it the main template free for us guys? What's your thoughts outside of Dream Team first on the signing?
Good signing. He's finally started to show like all the hype that when he was at Liverpool. Obviously, he never quite hit the heights, and he's had to move and maybe take a step back, and he's finally like established himself as a good Premiership striker. So he has. I think he's got a bit more in his locker as well. I think he could do really well at Spurs. I think it's a decent signing.
Yeah, really good signing. I think they needed a centre forward, and it looks like he'll fit in quite well there. But I like your stat you brought up the other day that Solanke seems to have an off year every other year, doesn't he?
Yeah,
he's had his good year this year.
That's something that one of my Arsenal mates pointed out, because I said I would have been fairly happy with the signing at Arsenal, to be honest with you. I think he's going to make most teams better. But yeah, someone batted that back at me that he'd seems to have a good season and then a poor season following it up. And I had a look, and it does seem to be true, but we'll see how he goes. I wouldn't mind him being quiet this year.
Yeah, 26 goal involvements last year. So, yeah, should be good. Regarding the question, I'm not sure he'll start the season as the number 9. After Kulusevski scoring 2 against Bayern, and he's playing as the number 9 at the moment. So it's one of them. Kulusevski could be one of them players where they play, but it's any excuse to take him out to get the new shiny star in. After 60, 70 minutes, if you haven't scored, Solanke will be in, and then probably Solanke will be in for game week 2. I can't see him dropping for the first match after scoring 2 against Bayern.
He scored quite a few as well, hasn't he? Or played really well in pre-season. Yeah. I feel like it's messed things up a little bit with my thinking, because I was quite liking the idea of 2 of the other Spurs players, Kulusevski and maybe Johnson. And I think that's going to bring a little bit of uncertainty to those now, isn't it? Because you'd have to think Solanke does go in as the main striker every week now. Son is always going to play, so he'll be on the left. And then I guess, would you say Johnson and Kulusevski are fighting for the right wing, or is Maddison in danger as well? Maybe a little bit.
I think during the season, obviously, that'll probably be what will happen. Kulusevski can play number 10, he can play right wing, can play striker. And Johnson can play striker, right wing, left wing. So it'll just they'll be fighting it out between them for behind Solanke. But like I say, I still can't see Solanke starting that first match. I'll be surprised. It's not until the Monday though, but the deadline obviously is on Friday, so we won't have much information on it. That's the only problem.
I didn't see what the actual quote was, but I did see someone say that Ange had hinted that he could play a part in that first one. I did see someone say as well that with Van der Ven he got chucked in. I think it was like 5 days after he signed. Like, I think he started the first game of the season, but yeah, I think it's a different. I think they needed someone at the time, whereas they could start the season with Kulusevski, Johnson, and Son, and that's not a problem, is it? Not against a team like Leicester.
No, especially after the way they played Saturday. Did you see the highlights on Saturday?
I saw the score. I didn't see the highlights.
Yeah, they literally every attack in the highlights was just Lons just shooting and counter attacking. It was absolute shambles.
So I didn't realise Vardy's injured as well, isn't he?
Yeah, it looks like he's carrying a knock, so he didn't play. He played since the first preseason game, so that's not good. Daka went off early as well yesterday. Yesterday, so that'll be interesting. Cannon came on and played a bit, so but he didn't have much minutes in the Championship last year, but he looked all right. But he only had a little spell when Daka was at the AFCON. I think Vardy was injured, and he played then. Obviously, Iheanacho went to AFCON as well. He just signed for Sevilla, Iheanacho, on a free.
Looking quite light now. So is it with Solanke? Is it? I mean, I'm not tempted. I'm not tempted to put Solanke in at this point. Maybe come Europe. Potentially.
Yeah. Game week 4, I think I'm going to look at him. Possibly game week 5 when Europe.
It will give us a cheaper option, won't it?
Yeah.
Is he 4?
4 million, yeah.
What about you, Tony? Any love for Solanke?
Yeah, not early doors. I guess he'll probably come on for the last 20 minutes, half an hour against Leicester. I think they'll go without. And then obviously game week 2, they've only got the single against Everton. Whereas we're trying to look at, like, if you kept Isak in, then you've got the potential of that second fixture in that week. So yeah, not for me early doors, but he's definitely going to be an option at some point through the season. Possibly like game week 5 onwards. Yeah, can see him doing well there. He's going to be a good option. It's always nice to have that striker that comes in. You've got a nice cheap option who's leading a line for a European team.
Yeah.
Probably won't have penalties. Do you think he'll take penalties off of Son?
Depends what he signed in his contract.
Can't
doubt it.
Yeah.
I'm just having a look now. 19 Prem goals last season. Reckon he beats that?
Yeah, if he stays fit.
And then question 2 from Wadey was, are you hoping some of the premiums start slow and drop in price in the first few weeks, or are the majority essential from the off? Thoughts on that one?
That's a good question. It's yeah, I'm hoping so. We have a few of them, obviously, not the ones you've got. Having Haaland and Salah, Isak. Saka's now squeezed his way into our team because I know he played the other game.
Yeah, he started the last 2. He'll definitely start now, I'm sure.
So it's pretty guaranteed now that he will be starting the season. So I know I can't, especially against the Wolves that look a little bit depleted now. I know they've just had the news that Cunha is probably going to play.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, they're having to look after him, whether he plays all the game or only gets 60 minutes. But obviously, Neto going to Chelsea. Yeah, I think it's a nice fixture that for Arsenal. Nice opening game, home to Wolves. So Saka's made his way in there. But then you've got the likes of, say, Foden, Palmer, De Bruyne. These lads that, like Foden and Palmer, I don't know whether they're going to play.
Palmer got 45. Yes, Palmer got 45 yesterday. Foden wasn't in the squad, was he?
No.
Trying to catch up to that. I didn't see any. I was away yesterday when I didn't get to see any of the games.
So this is where you're keeping an eye on these premiums. I'm probably going to have to go without Palmer and Foden. So it would be nice if they did blank, if they did play, and then try and squeeze them in at a later date. But this moment in time, 4 of them in there. It'd be nice if the rest of them blank.
Yeah, I agree. Obviously, I've got Haaland and Salah in my team, so I want them to do well. Good start, I think, to the season for them. Watkins is interesting, but I want him to blank to start with. I think they've got a tricky start. West Ham away, Arsenal at home, and then maybe game week 3 could bring him in. He might have gone down a little bit by then. Maybe he's blanked in the first 2. They've got Leicester away in that, and then they've got Everton, and then a Champions League game in the double game week in 4. So, yeah, that's interesting. De Bruyne, Foden, Palmer, same. I just want them to have a slow start and not possibly look at them maybe from game week 3, game week 4. And Saka, I might start with Saka, and then I might move him on for a couple of weeks and get the Wolves game in, and then I might take him out for the Villa away, Brighton away, and then maybe bring him back for game week 4. Just might get an extra Carabao Cup player in there for game week 2. Yeah, there's pretty much all the premiums I'm looking at.
You might be able to play it like that, like you mentioned with City, say Foden and KDB. If for whatever reason they don't start that first game and get a half, unless they do smash it in a half, there is a good chance that they probably are going to drop, isn't it?
Yeah.
But then if you bring them in, you're getting the decrease, aren't you? So you probably want to do it the game after that potentially. But then they play Ipswich in game week 2, so you might end up missing their points is all.
I think I'm not going to bother with the Ipswich one. I'm just going to go for the possible Carabao Cup double game week. Hopefully get someone who's cheap in there who could go up in price, and then I could sell them on in a few weeks.
I guess we'll put it in there as a quick reminder to everyone that the Carabao Cup is going to be game week 2. We should know the draw 2 days before the start of the season.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that might be something to consider. It's not showing on the Dream Team app, but there will be a double in game week 2. I've not targeted any in particular that I'm hoping will drop or anything like that. But, yeah, I'm hoping that I can jump to some of them a little bit later on. You just can't start with them all, can you? That's the hardest part.
Got to build your budget.
Yeah. That's what I'm liking, the premiums that have actually had pre-season and not the internationals, I think, at the moment. Bar Saka, because he plays every single game. We've got Patrick's question up next. What are our score predictions for the opening Premier League games? But where do you stand on this, boys? Because are you doing the Predictor League? Is he going for some inside info here?
I actually haven't done the Predictor League. I think Arsenal win comfortably. I'm not going to give you any figures.
Let's not do scores. Let's do results.
I think Arsenal win comfortably. I think you'd struggle to get a clean sheet out of West Ham and Aston Villa. Possible score draw. I think Crystal Palace will beat Brentford. City to beat Chelsea. And Spurs to beat Leicester. That's the only 5 games that come up for the score predictor.
What about opening day on the Friday? You've got United.
United Fulham. It looked all right over there. United against City. Obviously, it was a young City side. The back line were probably, as it will be, they'll probably start with that, won't they?
Did I see Martinez at left back?
Yeah.
Blimey.
Yeah, Martinez for United at left back.
I suppose he did do that I think that's why Arteta wanted him to be left back initially. So, interesting one with Shaw out.
Yeah. I mean, they did all right. Fulham, they can be absolute world beaters on the day, can't they? Fulham, they showed them last season they could beat some big names and then they can look absolutely toilet the next day. So, yeah, I think both score, possibly United win.
Fulham won at Old Trafford last year in the last minute. Yeah, they seem to do quite well against United. Obviously, United win the majority of the games, but it's always quite a tight affair. I could see like a 2-1 either way, really. I'd say United's going to win, though. Ipswich, Liverpool, I think Ipswich will come flying out and Liverpool just do them on the break. It'll be about 3-0, something like that, 3 or 4-0. Arsenal, same. I think they'll smash Wolves. Everton, Brighton, I think Brighton will go to Everton and nick a win there. Newcastle, I think they'll do Southampton pretty well. Forest, Bournemouth, I think Bournemouth's going to win that one. I think maybe a 2-1. West Ham Villa is going to be, like you said, like Tony said, it's going to be score. I can't call that one. It's going to be a hard one. I think West Ham's team looks good this year. Villa, obviously, a very good team, so maybe a draw. Brentford, Palace. Fancy Palace to nick that. Chelsea, Man City. Man City, I think, will do Chelsea. And obviously, I think Tottenham, after watching Leicester's highlights of the weekend, I think Tottenham's going to smash Leicester. Show them welcome back to the Premier League.
Yeah, not nice. Yeah, I think that first one's going to be a tough one as well. United, Fulham. I think United probably do edge it, but I do think Fulham will score. I agree on Liverpool. I'm targeting, obviously, Salah in that one. Arsenal, I feel like we'll win. Maybe even to 0. Everton, Brighton. Everton at home is always horrible, isn't it? I didn't realise that the new Brighton manager's 31, 32.
He's youngest Premier League manager ever, is he?
Yeah, I couldn't believe that. Yeah, Dyche is going to welcome him.
Yeah.
Newcastle, yeah. Forest, I think, will win. I reckon like a 1-1. West Ham, Aston Villa. Palace, I think City are going to do Chelsea. Big time. I feel like they're just in that sort of transition at the minute. It seems like all these pre-season matches, they seem to sort of play nice football, but concede a lot of goals. I don't know if that's what Enzo did at the start with you guys, Ben. But from the clips I've looked at, there's a lot of like playing out from Chelsea and getting caught out. There's a lot of really nice football, but it seems like that early stage where, do you know, like when Pep first went to City and he was like, we're going to do this regardless of what happens.
Yeah.
And you had like, was it Joe Hart, like messing up, playing out from the back, and it was a bit of a shit show at the start, wasn't it? But yeah, I think there could be some big goals in this one, but I do think they will gel eventually.
Yeah, we said that last pod. If you can press that Chelsea side well, they're not going to change. Enzo will not change the way he plays. He's shown that at Leicester. He infuriated some fans sometimes with it, but he stuck to it and they won the league. So fair play. I think Chelsea fans better strap themselves in, because there is going to be some horror moments, and it's not the game you want. Straight up to trying that at Stamford Bridge against City, it could really start off horribly for Chelsea. But who knows? Who knows? It's like I remember many a time we were watching Rovers have an absolute disastrous pre-season, like Leicester have done, and then all of a sudden, first game it just clicks, and then you're like, oh yeah, it's just pre-season.
Yeah, and then I think Spurs will win that first game. They've had a decent pre-season as well, haven't they? So, yeah, there's your predictions, Patrick. Ian Curry, are you getting all the big boys in from the off? I don't think we can we, with this budget?
No.
Initially,
I think I'm going to have three from the off, and then I'll try and build some budget up, and maybe, like I said, I might move Saka on after the first game. It depends. I haven't decided yet, but definitely Saka's a long-term pick for me. But it's just the Carabao Cup. I could maybe move him on for someone and bring him back after.
The thing is that looking at it now, so just the midfield four that I've got at the minute is Saka, Eze, Bruno, G, and Szoboszlai. Obviously, going into the second game week where you've got the Carabao Cup midweek, so Liverpool don't have a fixture, Arsenal don't have a fixture. So for me, I know what you're saying about planning to take Saka out because obviously of all the midfielders, he's the highest. Highest price in it, 6 million out of probably all your midfield. But then if Saka does really well against Wolves, and then say in my team, Szoboszlai has a bit of a nightmare against Ipswich and goes down, he'll be going down in value. Saka will be going up. So that decision's made for me. I would move on Szoboszlai to a Carabao Cup player rather than Saka and keep Saka for his price rise. So I think it's hard to, like you say, you can plan it in a sense where you would say, right, out of them two players that aren't playing, one of them will go. If both of them are going to price rise, you might still move one on. But you'd like to come to it game week 2 when you're planning before them price rises, is try and chop and change the players that you are predicting will go down.
Yeah.
Which comes into your thoughts and then all of a sudden like your plans can change. But yeah, I think I'm going in with 4. I'm calling Isak a premium at 5 million up top. Because obviously there's some very good options, say, in midfield for 3.5, 4 million. So yeah, I'm saying Isak, Salah, Haaland, and Saka.
Yeah, taking Saka out after the first game week doesn't scare me that much because last season the highest price players never seem to go up that much. So I can only expect him to go up 0.1 maybe if he has a 10-pointer or something. So that's the last year's. That's the only thing that's risky because we don't know if they've changed the algorithm this year because they don't reveal that, do they?
Yeah, that's it. And it takes us probably 2 to 3 weeks, doesn't it, to get our heads around it and realise how volatile it'll be.
I remember 6-7 years ago, every time a player did well, they just went up for 0.3. Well, I think it was when they first brought the 0.3 price rises in, and you're getting like Harry Kane, who was like 5 million to start with, and he was up to 9.5 at one point, just flying.
Yeah. Well, with the obviously we're not knowing about the price rises and whether they've altered the algorithm. When we touched on, I think, a question on either last week or week before the pod, and you're saying what have you learned from last season, and you were chatting about biggest mistake you made, Ben, was taking Saka out and getting absolutely burned. It just makes me laugh that the first plan you've got is game week 1. I'm taking Saka out at the end of it.
It's not a plan. It's just I'm looking at it thinking I could bring someone else in for that double game week. Obviously, Saka is a longer term pick. You want him for the Champions League and so on. It's just a quick in and out, maybe.
Yeah, like you've got some good options at that price. Like say, I don't know, Bowen. You could do it.
Yeah.
Sorry, like obviously he's a striker, but or Kudos playing possibly playing Carabao Cup. Some decent players in and around that area.
Yeah, I think my ones I'm going with are the pretty bog standard ones in Haaland, Salah. I'll chuck Isak in there at 5 as well. And then Saka. I think they're some of the positions that I haven't really been moving around at all really since the first draft.
If Isak's a premium, I've got to count Trent, then I? Because I've got Trent in my team, 5.5 million.
Yeah. Well, that's what Nathan asked.
He's
actually.
definitely premium. Yeah.
Nathan asked how much would you say is a big hitter, 6 mil plus or less, but I've sort of been looking at it from about 5 onwards. I think you've really got to start justifying the price, haven't you?
Yeah, I think at 5, once you put a £5 million player in, it is affecting another position. You are having to trim back on somebody and make concessions elsewhere. So I think, 5 million plus is they're your big boys.
Talking of premiums, Wadey asking, Is Bruno Fernandes totally getting overlooked? Ownership is very low. I didn't get a chance to watch the Community Shield yesterday, but I watched the short version of the highlights and see that he got a goal disallowed that looked like a lovely finish that was offside. And then did he get an assist as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looked like he had a decent game. Was he playing? Did I see he was playing false nine or sort of centre forward?
I think he was, yeah. Rashford left.
Yeah, what do we reckon? Because we've got bad memories of the start of last season, where I think we all started with him and all ate the price falls when it didn't go very well. And then the end of the season, he was arguably the best on form player, wasn't he?
Yeah,
so how was. You feeling? How are you feeling about him going into this one?
It's just, is it within a pocket of players that I'm just looking at now, and so that of the top 4, 5, 6 midfielders on the game price, like premiums, De Bruyne, Foden, Fernandes, Palmer, Saka, Kudos, I've only got one of them. That's quite scary. I know what you're saying about him being overlooked, and he will have low ownership, because I think if you go in without a Foden or a De Bruyne, I think they go in your team before a Fernandes, or say a Palmer even would go in before a Fernandes. It's so tough. It's so tough. You'd love to have a midfield 3 of Saka, Palmer, Fernandes, or a 4 with Foden in there as well, but we just cannot do it at the minute. Unless Salah all of a sudden up sticks and goes to the Saudi Arabian League and opens up the game like Kane did last season. There's going to be we're going to be burnt by some of these big hitters, and Fernandes will be one that really does hurt each time he puts in one of his cracking performances, because he's great on the Matrix.
Yeah, he's another one I was looking at for later in the season, really. Game week 4 definitely could be an option. Southampton and Carabao Cup, and then Palace away and Europa League. So, yeah, Fulham at home's good, but with the no Carabao Cup in game week 2, I'm just thinking I'll just wait and see, and hopefully gain some value on some cheaper players, get them in later on.
Yeah, what I was thinking with like last season, and I mean the beginning of last season was a long time ago. I haven't got anything in front of me to say what happened when he wasn't doing well. But I always find with United a little bit, and I'll probably get roasted because we've got quite a few United Discord members. But like at the moment, him playing centre forward in that last game or false 9. Like in theory, it should be good, but like he could be playing one role one week, one role another week. Like ideally, I'd just have him at 10, that number 10 position where he seemed to score well on Dream Team from my memory. And when they've got all these injuries and they're moving the players around, they don't maybe know what's the best 11 is. That's the sort of time where I think I would just go for like a Saka, who we know right wing, lineup doesn't change. That kind of, I don't really want the uncertainty of it. If he's playing the same position each week and then doing really well, then I probably will move to it.
I just looked at the match centre on FF stuff, and he got 6 in the first week and 4 in the second week, and he went down both weeks. He was 6.5, I think, at the start of last season. So that's another thing with having lots of expensive players. If they don't start on fire, they're going to possibly go down in price. I got burnt, didn't I, with Rashford and Fernandes last year.
Yeah.
What's frustrating is they might not even have a bad game. 6 isn't a terrible
6
score.
Is decent, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think they might be expected to score about 8 points. So
depending on the opposition as well. Yeah. I don't think it's anything on Bruno Fernandes. I just think it's the competition for those expensive slots, I think.
Yeah.
Good option though, Matt. Yeah. He could absolutely fly from the off.
Well, yeah, if that was your differential, it's definitely not a bad one, is it?
No.
Miss Noopy. So I've got 6 players in Europe, and this means I'm going to need price rises to get more as new transfers become available each week to exchange my cheaper players for better ones who are in Europe. I can't remember how quickly prices rose last year. Will this strategy be okay, or do I need to look at my previous draft again, even though she loves it? Well, you've just said actually, Ben, there, you can actually go and have a look at what the price changes were on FF stuff last season. It's a big old long list. You have to scroll quite a way to get to the start, don't you?
Yeah.
Or command search and look for the person's name. But yeah, what do you think? Is that what you're trying to do? Build a bit of budget to then get the European players?
Yeah, I think I'm currently on 6 European players and 5 Carabao players. So yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. Build budget, and then as we get to like game week 4, 5, 6, get all European players in there. Hopefully the best ones from the best teams. I think she's got it spot on, really.
Yep, 5 or 6 European players. Have a couple of punts in this Carabao Cup week. Have a few players that could get you them extra points in game week 2. And then we'll start looking at a transition over, which isn't as urgent as usual, as we've touched on in a few previous pods with the Carabao Cup clashing with the European games. And so even with your Carabao Cup players, you might still end up with an 11 out. So it's not as urgent, but obviously just keep an eye on the fixtures and what players will be playing in those early rounds.
I've dropped down to 4 European players currently, but I'm wondering if it's not enough there. I think it might have been when we were chatting with Fergie on one of our mini pods. He was quite big on the Carabao Cup, wasn't he? And then it got me thinking about maybe getting a few extra points earlier on. And it's the way that Europe's staggered as well, isn't it? It's not all starting on game week 4, so you could, because you're not going to have all your European players playing Champions League. I don't imagine, if you're going to get some more budget picks. Maybe you could load up on Villa. It's going to be quite difficult on price.
Yeah. So by the time you get to game week 5, you should have 10 European players if everything goes right.
Yeah, big if, I suppose. But yeah, is it leaving points behind if you don't go Carabao? But then, like you say, it's a gamble because they might not even play. So yeah, I think she's on the right tracks anyway with 6.
Yeah.
And then just remember to, if you are adding European players, you might want to do it in priority of people that are playing in Champions League first, and then so on. But then again, the only other bit that I was looking at as well is if your teams, we find out this Carabao Cup draw right before the start of the season, but if your team goes through, you'll have Carabao the second round for these teams, won't you?
Yeah, 3rd round, yeah.
So there's a very good chance that even if you don't have that many European players for the Champions League week, that you could have Carabao Cup players as well. It's not either or, is it?
And I was looking at the match centre as well. When we got to round 3, the Premier League teams went a little bit stronger again in the 3rd round. Like in the 2nd round in game week 2, they probably won't go as strong. They'll play some fringe players, give some players a little run out. When they get to round 3, they probably will go a bit stronger because the opposition is stronger. Because we get rid of most of the League 2 and League 1 teams then.
Yeah, definitely could be interesting to play that way.
But yeah, I agree about that as well. If you're going to bring in players in game week 3, game week 4, you need to target Champions League because that's when the Carabao Cup is in game week 4. The 3rd round comes in game week 4, but the Champions League's on in that same week. Yeah. And then the week after, it's the opposite way around. The Europa League's on, and the Champions League teams play their 3rd round Carabao Cup games. But Chelsea blank in that week. Not blank, but they don't play a double game week that week. until the week after. That's when their Conference League starts in Game Week 6. It's very complicated this season, isn't it?
Well, just remember you can check out if you're a Patreon member on second. What's the second tier? Second tier.
Yeah. Important player.
You can access Ben's fixture ticker that he'll update. So once the Carabao Cup draws out, he'll put all of those fixtures in there and adjust it as we go. Are your previous 2 to 2.5 million players and cheap goalies still the same? Or do we have any new ones with transfer news, general news, etc.? Anyone that's appeared on your radar that
Sells has got that number 1 position, hasn't he, for Forest? We've tidied that one up.
It.
So that if anybody looking at the Forest keeper at 2 million, Sells seems to have won that battle from how it seems.
Yeah, Ben, surely you're not still going with your Leicester keeper.
I am currently on him. Best keeper in the Championship last year. Obviously, hoping to get lots of saves out of the keeper for 2 million. I've seen that Travers has been playing for Bournemouth in the last few pre-season games. I don't know if Neto's injured. It's not reported. He's only 1.5 million. And then you got McCarthy, who's 1.5 million for Southampton as well.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, it's the same situation as probably Hermanson, and I'll probably be able to save 500,000 as well. And then obviously use the budget to upgrade as we get close to European games. And I noticed for Tottenham, Jed Spence started the last 2 friendlies at left back, but they did change it at half time and brought Udogie on. So I don't think that's like a definite. That's just
He's
something. I wouldn't start with him anyway. Just something to monitor. Anyone else that's caught my eye? Obviously, Smith Rowe scoring again. That's 2 goals for him.
I'm about to go full circle on him. I think I was sort of in the camp of, his fitness. He's going to have to build up. He's not going to be match sharp. He looks incredible. He's really good.
Yeah, on the lineups, it looked like he was playing as a deep line playmaker in the last match.
I saw that. I watched like a 8-minute highlight on YouTube of that match, and I think it seemed like him and Herrera just sort of keep swapping round a little bit.
Yeah,
but he definitely seems to be a bit more advanced. He seems to link up really well with Robinson as well, if you're considering Robinson. What do you think of this one? O'Brien from Everton. They've just... Sorry, I got a thing with Everton. He scored back-to-back goals. He scored back-to-back goals for them, and I was half expecting them to be headers, but no, he's got a decent shot on him as well. But I think Branthwaite is either late joining or has got some sort of knock or injury, or maybe they're flogging him. But he's been starting everyone since he's come in. Really,
he's on his way back to full fitness, isn't he, Branthwaite?
Yeah.
Easing him back in. So obviously they've not sold him by now. It looks like he's staying, especially the United went and bought like Yori, didn't they?
Yeah, I was just shocked though, because that O'Brien was playing. I didn't know anything about him, to be honest, beforehand, but he was playing for
Lyon, wasn't it?
I think it was Lyon, and he had really good attacking returns that season. I'll try and bring it up quickly.
He's from the Palace youth system, wasn't he? And he went to Lyon randomly. 27
matches, 4 goals, 2 assists from centre half. Not a bad shout, is it?
Yeah.
I reckon he'll before long be quite good in that team. But yeah, they're not going to not play Tarkowski, are they? I doubt.
What about? I've got a new one on the list. Scored again today. Kamada at Palace, 2 million. anybody who's liking the look of Palace's fixtures and can't get to that 4.5 million for Eze, Kamada could be a good shout as a budget player at 2 mil, 2 goals in pre-season. He's got an all right scoring record. He has hit double figures a couple of times, so he could be one to keep an eye on. And what about Oscar Bob at City? Obviously, he's
doing it
had
again.
a nice pre-season, really good pre-season. Pep's saying all the right things about him, but you know what happens. He probably just disappears, doesn't he? For all season. Might get a few Carabao Cup games, but
Is he a striker in the game?
yeah, he is, unfortunately.
That's the
I mean, if
downside,
you're a
isn't it?
midfielder at 2 million, it'd be 10,
He'd
half
be him,
10.
wouldn't you? Yeah.
It's him and Ahmad, isn't it, that have both been put down as a striker, which is annoying. They both would have been nice options in midfield at 2.5 or 2 million.
Yeah, I don't get how you put Oscar Bob as a striker and have Saka as a midfielder.
Yeah.
I honestly think they've just gone, oh, we need to put some strikers on, and Man City probably just had Haaland, and they were like, oh, he won't play much. Let's just put him as striker.
Yeah.
Oh, Diallo. Oh, we've only got Højlund here. Let's just stick him as striker. I feel like they've just done it with the option that they think probably is going to be least picked, and it's kind of backfired a bit.
Yeah, Salah should be a midfielder, really, if Saka's a midfielder and Palmer's midfielder.
Oh, there's every year there's one or two in there that raise eyebrows. That Kamada, what people maybe should look at is because that last season we did say it, didn't we? That his last season at Lazio wasn't great for attacking numbers, but he done really well for attacking returns at Eintracht Frankfurt. And that was under Glasner as the manager then, who's his manager now. So you could maybe back him to get the best out of him.
Nice little start as well in pre-season with 2 goals. It looks well.
Seems like it will be Eze and him starting.
Yeah.
We're gonna look at some lineups from the weekend's games, but it does look like he's going to be him who starts in that Elise position, even though they've got 2.5 Saar coming in, who could be all right for that price at some point. But any others we've seen?
I know there's been a lot of talk about what do you call them? Forest, obviously opening with Bournemouth at home. Ben's predicted Bournemouth will do them. I think if they can do it, like if they can play well, Nico Williams at 2 million. There's been a lot of talk about Murillo being probably the most nailed if he was going for a cheap Forest option. But Nico Williams is really attacking, isn't he? So yeah, maybe he could bring some up. But
I went on.
It is what it is with the cheap, isn't it? You're gonna pick a few. Some are gonna be diamonds. Some are gonna absolutely fall flat on the face. But
we've got in one of the questions coming up. I'll just skip to it and then come back because it's relevant now. But DT Phillips said, "What's your thoughts on Anderson at Forest? Obviously signed from Newcastle." And I saw the same as him. I wanted to. Obviously, there's a lot of talk about Forest at the minute. I wanted to see what was going on in that Forest match, and I had a look, and there's me thinking Gibbs White might be taking sort of set pieces, or I think Elanga, I think, was taking some as well at one point. But Anderson took everything that game. It's probably a bit of a surprise that he was actually starting because there was a bit of differences on the lineup. But yeah, Anderson's only 2 million, I think he is. And he was taking all set pieces. It's just whether or not you think he's going to start, I suppose.
I didn't even know Anderson had gone there.
Yeah.
They actually signed, or is that a loan deal? That
no, I bought him.
Well, yeah. Gibbs White on the pitch. No, weren't he?
I don't know if we mentioned him on one of the previous episodes, but I guess Semenyo. Now, Solanke has transferred out. Semenyo has played matches at centre forward, and I think he did a half today at centre forward potentially. So out of position, but are they going to be worse? You'd imagine they would be worse, really.
Yeah, that Jebison came off the bench and scored, didn't he? But it was a bit of a easy. It was the easiest goal he ever scored. It was just you just had to knock it in. But yeah, it'd be interesting. They've
got like a very good attacking midfield, haven't they, Bournemouth? With Tavernier, Semenyo, Sinistera. I can't say that other guy's name. Outarao, however you say his name. Obviously, that Jebison, was he the one who couldn't score at Sheffield United?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, Semenyo's a handful. Whether they do utilise him through the middle, I'm not too sure. But he does love a shot. Nicely priced as well. He's a really good. I had him in FPL for majority of the season last year. Really good.
Who would your best cheap Newcastle alternative be for Isak? So if you were going without Isak, I'm guessing one of the midfield options. There's quite a few popular ones. What are we thinking?
Well, obviously Murphy's been on fire in pre-season, but he's another one or I feel like he's going to be a bit like Kulusevski. He's going to be the scapegoat. He's going to get dropped as soon as he's not doing anything for about 60 minutes. He's gone. Yeah. And then they'll bring on Harvey Barnes, or Harvey Barnes will start and then Murphy will come on. I think Murphy, if it were me, I wouldn't start Murphy. I'd start Harvey Barnes and Gordon on the wings. But because he's been doing so well in pre-season, I can see him just going, all right, it's your turn to shine. And if he doesn't do anything, he's going to get hooked straight away. So it's going to be one of them transfers out straight away. So it's a bit risky, I think.
You could get away with it having Carabao Cup in the second week. If it does go wrong, he probably gets that, doesn't he?
Yeah, true. That 3.5 Harvey Barnes is quite good. Murphy's 2.5, and Joe Linton's pretty much nailed in midfield. 3 million, gets involved. Yeah, goals, assists, tackles. So it could be one who just sits in there for a little while. 3 million.
He got a bad injury, didn't he? Last season, he missed quite a lot of the season, didn't he?
Yeah.
Towards the end.
But yeah, I think
I'm not. What was his points per game, Joe Linton? Really interested in that because, like you say, he is always involved. Everything when he's on that pitch: tackles, goals, assists, the lot, chances created. He's an absolute beast. Gone from like this absolute awful striker to one of the best midfielders in Premier League.
4 points he got.
What? Sorry,
4.3 points a game.
It's not bad.
3 million. Not bad for 3 million now.
0.2 less than Ghana. Yeah, not bad.
Yeah, but I mean, do you really want to risk not having Isak in for that first few weeks? I don't know. I don't know about an alternative.
I'm having Isak. I'm sure of it, but there are options. Like we've just said about Leicester's defence, like Son for the same price.
Yeah,
is always a good shout.
I always say, like, if you're gonna be tempted to go without Isak and put somebody cheaper in from Newcastle, I always say when it comes to the next game week, however well you've done, however many points you've got, if Isak has scored a hat-trick against Southampton at home and you haven't got him and you're all of a sudden you straight away, however many points behind, 25, 30 points behind on the first game week, you would just be kicking yourself because you just made an incorrect decision that, like, of all your knowledge and what you try and put into the game and, right, I'm going to play the best fixtures, the best players, Isak at home to Southampton. The fixtures don't get much better. You've got Salah away at Ipswich. They don't get much better than that either. The only one you could probably say I would rather go without Haaland away at Chelsea than Isak at home to Southampton.
I do get the thing. I do get the sort of thinking of covering a team, but I kind of think that if you're getting Isak, or say if you're saying you're not going to get Isak, but you want to cover Newcastle with another Newcastle player, you're probably thinking Newcastle are going to do well. And then if you think Newcastle are going to do well, just get the best player. Like the same with you. I feel like surely you go against if you don't think they're going to do well enough to pick them.
Just go without them.
There could you just go for a different option at 4.5 or?
It makes complete sense if Newcastle were at home to City, or if they were away at City, you go, well, I'm not going to go with Isak because I'm going to go against him. I don't fancy him to win.
Yeah.
I think we all think that Newcastle could score 3 or 4 against Southampton. And
then who do you think scoring the points?
Yeah. So
that's what. Yeah.
I've stuck. So I've got Bruno G in as well because I'm trying to double up on that. I'm thinking they probably will score 3 or 4, and if Isak doesn't get them, Bruno G might, or he might assist Isak's goals. And I just want to try and get as many points out of that game as I can. Exactly the same as I've got Salah and Szoboszlai. Again, great fixture. Trying to double up on it and get as many points out of it as I can. I've no City midfielder. If City absolutely pagger Chelsea, like I say, they've got Foden, De Bruyne, Doku, Rodri possibly, just all these names. Got to play them better fixtures.
I was toying with the idea of going with one attacker from Spurs and one attacker from Newcastle. So I was looking at Isak and Maddison as a combination.
Yeah.
And I originally had Son and Gordon as a combination, but then when I seen Isak's at the Carabao Cup and Maddison was a bit cheaper than Gordon, I thought, I could save $500,000 there and do that combination. And I had that initially, but I've took Maddison out now. Yeah, I was looking at that.
Miss Noopy saying, could Gordon be an option as a good pick for Newcastle? I think Bruno Guimaraes and Gordon are both really good picks, but it is only a 0.5 saving, isn't it? That way. I do think Gordon is going to always be a decent pick.
Yeah, I think that's a nice double up, Isak and Gordon.
One wins the pen, one scores the pen.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah, they've got one of the nicest starts in the game, Newcastle, this season. So, and they've got the Carabao Cup after it. And do you know what? You could pick 3 or 4 Newcastle players, and they might not get a sniff in that Carabao Cup game, but it's always a chance.
We've got Philip in the chat, Newcastle fan. He might be able to remind us, but does Hal rotate quite a lot in the Carabao? You said you looked up on FF stuff. I feel like there was that game that they did rotate massively, wasn't it? Even for Man City. We'll have a look into that.
I'll try and pull it up now.
Yeah. Philip's first question, is Jota a decent alternative option to Salah? We're talking about covering. Would you reckon?
No, I don't think you should. Again, Philip, you just as I said about the Isak, you would kick yourself if Salah bagged a couple and Jota came off for 30 minutes because he's tweaked something again. We know about Jota's injury troubles. Salah's main man. He's got a great fixture. It's not a game I'd go against him. Maybe in a tougher fixture, possibly, but I don't think game week 1, Salah against Ipswich is there to be taken on, in my opinion.
I think that's
Jota might go and bag a brace now and Salah goes off injured, but
just so consistently good, isn't he, Salah? I know you can turn it which way you want it. You could say it's a new manager. It could be slightly different position, but he knows where the goal is, doesn't he? Did you have a look, Ben?
Yeah, obviously Newcastle were in the Champions League last year, so they didn't play in the Carabao until game week 6. They started with Pope, Target, Livramento, Lascelles, Dummett, Joe Linton, Tonali, Miley midfield, Isaac, Hall, and Murphy up front. Hall played in the front three.
Yeah, quite fairly heavy rotation, but if you can
Yeah,
get
and they
two,
beat Man City 1-0. Isaac scored.
if you can get two out of Isak though, that'd be lovely, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, really nice.
And even if they decide they're going to give Wilson that start, like he might only get 60.
Yeah.
He wasn't even on the bench in that game.
Jota, thoughts, Ben?
I wouldn't put him in instead of Salah, but I would be interested in maybe doubling up for that first match against Ipswich.
Scored a banger today.
Yeah, left-footed volley.
Lovely.
Yeah, because I think Salah's guaranteed more minutes, and Jota probably will come off early, and he's injury prone as well, so they'll probably want to make sure he doesn't get injured. Even if he gets a couple of goals, I mean, he'll probably come off early. That's not a problem. Like, obviously, that's good for points, but yeah, I wouldn't do it instead of Salah. Maybe a double up.
Yeah, I don't mind it, but I would try to get to Salah if you could. I think, but he probably would be my go-to if I was trying to cover him because he has played pretty much all of pre-season, hasn't he? But you just know Darwin, Gakpo, all just waiting in the wings, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly.
Luis Diaz bag another 2 as well, did he?
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of rotation up there.
He might have a really good season, Diaz, because he seems to play these wingers that sort of hug the touchline, which is one of the reasons why people are saying with like Salah could end up playing a bit further wide, but I still think he's going to get amongst the goals. Is anyone thinking of bringing Murphy in from Newcastle 2.5? We covered that one, haven't we? Now, and we spoke about Anderson as well. I don't mind it. I wish we'd maybe had seen a bit more of Anderson because I don't think he's been available. I think he was injured. I think, but yeah, definitely could be one to watch at 2 million. You'd like to think you could get a price increase. You probably wouldn't need many points to get an increase on 2 mil, would you?
No,
we're talking about four points, something like that.
Yeah.
And then we've covered the sorry. Philip, we've covered basically all these before we even got there. What's your Euro Carabao Cup player ratio? But yeah, we covered that with Miss Noopy's question.
Yeah, nice one for the questions, Philip.
But cheers for the questions, man. Are there any teams, this is from Jake, are there any teams where you're worried you haven't got cover, i.e. you haven't got any United cover? If they go off, I'm screwed.
Yeah.
What do you reckon?
Yeah, I think
spooking you.
It does touch on about not having the premiums. It's pretty similar as to that question with like City. I've only got Haaland. I know I'd like Vardiol. I'd like one of the midfielders. I have had Doku in and out.
Grealish has got a knock, hasn't he? And Grealish has now got a knock after playing quite a bit in pre-season. So
yeah.
Could be Doku's to start.
It could be. But then, who's that lad? Savinho?
Yeah.
I just don't... I don't know. I'm not going to touch it. I'm going to let it settle down probably for the first couple of weeks. See what they're at. United, yeah. Fernandes, obviously not having Fernandes is never great in this game because he scores so well. I think that's it, though. I think that's it. Havertz really has tempted me, but with Isak, I can't. I'd have to take out Haaland for him.
Yeah.
And with the way Chelsea are defending, I'm not willing to go without any City. So.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about any players I haven't got in my team at the minute. Obviously, I'm looking at the fixtures, and I think I've targeted the right fixtures. If I had to pick one, I'd probably say Bruno is the one that I would like in my team. But after game week 1, it's Brighton and Liverpool, so I'm not too fussed. I think he might still get 5 points in each game, but yeah, I'm looking at other fixtures, and I think there could be more potential and higher ceiling in other games. So, yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I'm trying not to look at it so much like that because, I mean, say you do pick your team, and I don't know, you think that your front three, Newcastle, Liverpool, Haaland for City, are your money spots or whatever, with maybe Saka in midfield. Are you, if you think that like Bruno could go off at Man United, are you really going to cover it with like is that player? I don't know. For example, Man United is probably a bad example because they've not got a ton to choose from. But would you rather take the best player from Crystal Palace or the fifth best player from Man United to try and cover Man United? Like, in a way, I think I'd rather just try and pick the best player from a different team that might not be as good, if you know what I mean, or might not be as high quality. Yeah,
that Carabao Cup does soften the blow a little bit. You're hoping to get the extra points out of that. It might you might get some rises out of it as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think you just have to not fear it, don't you? If someone like Bruno does start going off, then just you can move to him if you think it's going to carry on. But yeah, probably best not just fearing it and getting someone in there for the sake of it. We're going to have a quick whiz through now at some lineups from these last friendlies, just to see if there's anything that's caught our eye, anything that we think might be of note going into the start. Just one last question I've just seen from David F in the chat. So, do you think Vardiol and or Porro are essential from the start? I have three mil defenders to push budget into midfield. Do you think those two are essential?
I've got one of them in my team. I've got Porro at the minute at 4 mil. I'd like to have Vardiol and Porro. Essential from the start? No, I won't say so. But there are players that you go into one, and this is where the budget building is so important. You miss out on if your budget starts to drop any. I mean, we're struggling as it is. If you start to lose budget, you really are going to struggle within 6-7 weeks of this season. So it's important you get off to a decent start when it comes round to the night before the price changes with your transfers. Yeah, you need to be ready.
Yeah, we need to make sure, let you know as well. If you do a transfer, you can always reverse it before the deadline as well. So you can like move your do your transfers, and even if you don't like it before the deadline, you can reverse it, can't you? Unlike in other games. Yeah, I'm currently on Porro at the minute, but I can afford Vardio instead. So I'm just debating that at the minute. I don't think they're essential, but I was actually toying with taking Porro out for another Carabao Cup player as well. But those two first fixtures for Porro are quite nice, Leicester and Everton. So might be tempted just to suck it up and have him in there, and then he's in my team ready for the European fixtures in September.
And I've got just Vardiol currently. Porro is still in my thinking, especially as I'm getting a bit unsure on the Livramento spot. I think Trippier will come off the bench, I think, in that friendly. So I'm getting a little bit unsure on that £3 million slot. So I'm wondering if I can work my way up to a Porro maybe, but Vardiol's in there to start with. I think the Chelsea fixture might possibly put people off, but I think after that it looks brilliant. I was worried that he'd played centre back in a few of the pre-season friendlies, but then we saw in the Carabao in the Community Shield that he's back at sort of left back. So yeah, I'm happy to go with Vardy to start. And obviously Champions League comes before Poro's Europe, so but I think both are underpriced. I think both will end up much higher than what their price is at the moment.
Yeah.
Right, let's have a quick look at some of these teams. I've not watched the games. I tried to watch quite a few of the highlights on some of these ones. But yeah, we might not be spot on, but we can have a look at who started them, etc. So Brighton, first up. Any players that you'd like to look of there? Because I've been probably not for this game, but I've had my eye on João Pedro because he was so good in spells last season, and I think the only thing that was really hindering him was that crazy spiky head bloke taking him off at half time, playing all sorts of tricks. So I think if he's starting every game, I think he's going to have a great season, and he's scored an absolute blinder in this one as well. So go and have a look at that from outside the box, top corner. He looked really good. Anyone you're considering, their fixtures are hard.
The fixtures are hard. So it kind of rules out really the defensive side of it, but they've still got a very good team, haven't they, Brighton? They've got a very good continuation of, like, with these managers that are coming in, they just seem to be still progressing and still building and bringing through talented players. So, yeah, João Pedro could have a massive season if, like you say, if he just stays on the pitch a bit longer. Matoma as well. Matoma being back's massive. Obviously, a big miss for them last season.
You still hot on Barco, Ben?
Yeah, still got him in my team. 2 million. Yeah, I'm hoping he's on set pieces and that. I've watched some of the highlights there. They look really good, Brighton, and he started there at wing back. So yeah, definitely interested in that. Minty, I like the look of. Got another goal today. 3.5 million.
I think if their fixtures were better, I'd be straight on him. He looks brilliant.
Yes. One to monitor. It's just that Man United and Arsenal in August is a bit tough, but then it goes into Ipswich and Forest with a possible Carabao Cup third round for that Ipswich game. So there might be a double game week there. Could be one to bring in.
Even Matoma was so good at times, wasn't he, in this game? But I've not heard much talk of him recently. West Ham. This is 8-7, went to pens. Paqueta grabbed a goal. Bowen taking all corners because Ward-Prowse was on the bench. My mates who support West Ham think that he might lose his place, Ward-Prowse. They've got their new signing, Rodriguez, playing in there. Fancy any of their players?
Fulkrug missed the penalty in the shootout.
Oh, I didn't see it. Didn't see the shootout.
Yeah, definitely Mo Kudus.
Mm-hmm.
Just a bonus points magnet, tackles, dribbles, and obviously gets goals and assists. Bowen's a bit of a downer because he's a striker now in the game, and he's not in Europe, so it's going to be hard to get him in now. Yeah, Paqueta's always a good player for points. Bonus points as well, but I don't know, just no Europe. Probably Kudus is ahead of him for me. Plenty of cheap options in defence though.
David Tipping-Kilman could be a snip. What's he at? Is he 2.5?
Yeah.
Good player. Good signing that from him.
Areola.
Yeah, 2.5. I'd be almost tempted to, if this move on sales doesn't go well or anything, I would be fairly confident going up to Areola because he done really well for saves in the end. His average was really good. And they could have Wan-Bissaka coming in, is the rumour, isn't it? So
yeah,
I think that'd strengthen them.
They signed Todipo as well, didn't they? Centre half.
Yeah, actually, yeah.
Good signing that.
Yeah, made it probably arguably the best transfer window, I think.
Yeah.
Anything on your lot there?
I don't think that'll be the team that we start with. So take it with a pinch of salt. Victor Christensen, I can't see him starting. He's just had a good season with Bologna. They got in the Champions League. But I think Justin will start left back, and Ricardo Pereira just been rested for this match, I believe. I'm not too sure about this. Currently, probably start with someone a bit more experienced, Cody. Chowdhury, I can't see starting. Probably be Wilfred and Winksy in the middle. Winksy could be good for bonus points. He's on set pieces. He gets around. Obviously, he's literally everywhere. So lots of touches on the ball. Very good pass completion. He had a couple of games last year, 100% pass completion in the championship. I really think Fatui could be interesting for the bonus points. He's a bit like a Kudus player. Lots of dribbling, tackles, really good at pressing. He got a hat trick at the end of last season from right wing, and he got Mavididi, who's on the bench for this match, but he's a similar player on the left. Yeah, so I think it'll be a totally different team. Obviously, Daka went off early, injured as well, so take that team with a pinch of salt. Hermanson is in my team at the minute. He was one of the best keepers in the championship last year. Really good for saves. So yeah, I like him.
Wolves obviously lost Neto, haven't they now?
Yeah.
The fixtures, they've probably got the worst possible run, haven't they, fixture-wise, it looks like, for Wolves. So interested to see how they do. That Rodrigo Gomez has had a really good pre-season. He seems like he might be the one that benefits the most, maybe, out of Neto going. I'm sure they play in a 4 at the back for the most of the pre-season, though. So they've gone trying out the 5 at the back, it seems like, with wing-backs. Sarabia might make a return with Neto leaving as well, but I think we'll wait and see on those.
Could be on pens as well. Sarabia. He used to be the Spanish penalty taker when he used to play for the national team.
Yeah.
João Gomez could be good. Lots of tackles last year, and he got 2 goals, but could be one to watch. Definitely one for the Telegraph game.
Yeah,
with a tackle bonus. But yeah, Gomez is interesting. I'm going to keep my eye on him. He's 2 million. But they must be struggling at the back if they've got to play Matt Doherty as a right centre half. So yeah, probably Jose Sarr was quite good for bonus as well for goalkeeping, and he's probably going to have a lot to do this year. But he's a bit dearer than the other cheaper keepers, so I'll probably avoid.
Villa, no Watkins again. It didn't come on. I don't know whether he should still be fine to start the season, shouldn't he? But most of the other guys have come back into it at this point.
Yeah, I would imagine he'll start. Not heard anything about injuries or anything.
But Morgan Rogers seems like he's on a lot of people's radar as the 2.5. How do you feel about him at the moment?
Definitely one to bring in a few weeks when game week 4 maybe. Just see how he beds in. He obviously playing out of position. He's a midfielder in the game and he's playing in the front 3. So it's a very interesting player to have. Might get hooked early in a few games though, but for 2.5, could be a good player to bring in as an enabler in the Champions League starts.
That's just what I'm not sure about. If you were putting Watkins in this lineup, you'd take Rodgers out in that instance, wouldn't you? But they sometimes do play with those 2 up top. There was times where they're having Watkins and McGinn, weren't they, up top, pushing high at times. So yeah, they swap between a 3 and a 2 up top. I just think they've got a lot of choice, and I wouldn't be surprised if he does get rotated. No Carabao.
Yep, that's it.
Backline is a bit different though.
What's that?
Backline's a bit different. They said Digne might go, but he started this one. No Martson, but I think he came on. Yeah, got options. And then Newcastle, they had two friendlies in quick succession. So this looks like it. Would you say this is probably going to be the? Well, no, Bruno G though. Bruno G is going to start, isn't he?
Yeah, I think Cher will start. I think Trippier's going to start. I do. I just think he's the captain. I just think he'll start unless he gets sold.
Yeah, you had Shaw, Trippier, Dubravka, Guimaraes, Willock, Barnes. I don't know.
Have I gone mad here?
You'd probably bring Shaw into that team, wouldn't you? Alongside Dan Burn.
Yeah.
Bruno G in.
Have they got?
Think that would then go on.
Are Jamie Miley and Lewis Miley two separate players, or have
they
got his name wrong, or they're two separate players?
Yeah.
Has he got a brother playing for him?
They're brothers.
Ah.
Ask in the chat. I'm sure the Newcastle boys will tell us.
Yeah.
How old's Jamie Miley then? Is he 14? that Lewis Miley's only about 17, isn't it?
Yeah.
18?
Philip, let us know. Yeah, Philip's saying they're brothers. Philip, let us know in the chat what you're thinking on Hall and Livramento at the minute. Is it looking like Hall might be a better pick out of the two? That might be an easy move for me, who's on Livramento at the minute, to maybe move over to Hall.
Well, he's the older brother.
21. And there's the other team on. The other match. So Trippier started. Cher, Kelly, Lewis, Bruno G starting in this one, and Harvey Barnes scoring.
Great goal as well.
Yeah.
Harvey Barnes.
Typical Harvey Barnes goal, cutting in from the left.
Philip saying Hall will start left back. So maybe it's a move. Either of you on a Newcastle player at the minute at the back?
Yeah, I had Livramento. I think he's quality Livramento, but equally impressed with Lewis Hall as well. So whichever one of them is the most nailed, I might stay on.
Yeah, here's that lineup from Fulham as well. So this is what you mentioned, wasn't it, Ben? So they've got obviously Tete, Diop, Bassi and Robinson playing left back, but then trying to look at where Smith Rowe might go and Pereira might go, because they're two options at 2.5 that could be good. They've got it here that Pereira was number 10 and Smith Rowe was sort of left centre mid. So yeah, linking up with Robinson, quite nice. But Adama Traore out of nowhere starting.
Yeah.
The bonus OG. Well, not even bonus, 7 rating OG.
Yes, old school, 7 rating OG.
Is it the same one?
Yeah, it's
A lot of Traore's knocking around, isn't there?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it's definitely Adama baby oil Traore.
Yeah, he had his sleeves right up here, bulging out.
I mean, surely
Greased up.
because obviously with the player performance marks of the dribbling, he might be an absolute bonus points magnet if he gets going.
Yeah. Interesting.
Didn't have a big load of games, did he, last?
Yeah, he's injured last year.
I'll have a look and see if I can find that. Adama.
44 points last year.
How did it say how he done for PPM or anything like that? Let's get the old spreadsheet out.
Yeah, you get it up some.
Oh, you do my team Everton, my second team Everton.
Yeah. Yes. So Pickford, Coleman, Tarkowski, Jake O'Brien, the new sign from Lyon, Mikolenko, Gay. I can't even pronounce that geezer's name.
I've stitched you up.
Stitched him right up.
I can't even say his name.
Well, I'll distract from that with Adama. Adama got no bonus all season last year. From how many matches?
That's karma.
18 games, not a single bonus point. So
yeah,
didn't quite happen then. Dwight McNeil got an assist for Calvert-Lewin in this one.
Yeah,
he's someone that I've been looking into, and I think I'm going to start the season with now.
Bosh.
taking all the set pieces, and I was just looking back on FF stuff, like how he done in all the previous matches, and I'm looking and it's like 4, 5, 6. He's every couple of games he's getting an attacking return. Obviously, assists not as many as goals, but he does seem to do all right, McNeil. So
If you put McNeil in your team, whose place is he taking? What's your other three midfielders?
currently would be
He's
would
taking
be,
Garner's place.
yeah, it'd be Saka, Eze, Gibbs White, who I'm not completely sold on at the minute. He's one that I'm sort of keep moving around, but
Yeah.
I might do McNeil at 3.
Who's the fourth?
That is it. Eze, Saka, Gibbs White, McNeil.
All right.
But I could change Gibbs White to maybe a Smith Rowe or Pereira potentially when we see the lineups. But yeah, we'll see.
I reckon a few people are going to see the lineups on that first game week for the Fulham away at Man U game, and it's going to be an itchy finger. I want someone to put in that first match, and they're going to put someone in because the deadline straight up. It's the only deadline that we can do changes when we see the lineup.
That's the only thing talking about Smith Rowe back again is that if he starts that game, like as an Arsenal fan and like knowing how Smith Rowe's time has been, I'll be very surprised if you're getting 2 starts in that Carabao Cup week.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be playing him in 2 matches in quick succession. But yeah, Dwight McNeil's one of the ones I'm liking the look of. Maybe Jake O'Brien, just because we know that Everton are so decent at the back, but I think it's a risk. Bournemouth, like we said, Semenyo up top with no Solanke, still doing all right. 3 goals here. Like you said, Jefferson got a goal as well. I didn't check how Ryan Christie done, the alternative to Ghana. But yeah, can you see yourself going for any Bournemouth players now?
I think he won the penalty, Christie. When I looked watching the highlights,
Don't do it to me.
Like you're saying, he's good for tackles. He's a bit of a Ghana player, isn't he? Good for tackles, on set pieces. He's playing deep line playmaker, so yeah, could be interesting. 2.5 million.
His one was strange. He was getting bonus for dribbles was his main thing, and I was like, surprised me.
Yeah, because he's a winger, isn't he? Really, but they've been playing him as a deep line playmaker, so he's still got the ball of skills. Travers, like I said, he's been playing in the last 2 friendlies. Interesting. Neto didn't come on today, yesterday. So yeah, interesting. 1.5 million. But yeah, there's loads of cheap options in the Bournemouth front line.
Yeah.
But yeah, Kluivert's at the penalty, so that might be one to interest you. 2.5.
Would you fancy Semenyo if he was playing striker? We don't really know if that means he's actually going to be doing better. He did get decent returns last season for the price. He was on the list for enablers.
Yeah, I like him. He's a good player.
Spurs as well on screen. Like you said, Jed Spence started, but actually that's a bit of a makeshift backline, isn't it? With Ben Davies and Dragusin starting.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if this was rotated at half time or anything. Maddison I saw again, 45 minutes. He's not getting big minutes even in pre-season. Constantly changed. They've got a good up and coming youngster. I can't remember his name. That he keeps getting. Yeah, he keeps getting subbed off for him.
2 million he is. He's one to look at in the future, I think. But yeah, if he keeps coming off the bench, Bergvall, he might go down a few 0.1s, and you might get him for 1.8 or something.
Yeah.
When he starts starting.
I think I've given up the dream of Maddison, I think, now. Have you? Did you say?
Yeah, a minute. Bergvall got the assist as well for the second goal.
Did he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is Robertson still out?
No, he played
Liverpool?
today.
He played for the B team.
Yeah, the B team.
Yeah. They had 2 lineups out. So
That was weird. They played at 12:30 with a full crowd, 59,000, and then they played again at 5:00 with no one in the ground. But it was all like the players that didn't play in the first match against Sevilla played against the Las Palmas.
strange.
They should have done a 2-for-1, shouldn't they, for the fans?
I know.
I swear they're always trying to jazz up these pre-seasons some way or the other.
I like what Newcastle do Saturday and Sunday. You get 2 games. I think that's a good idea.
Trent started, played really well. Apparently got an assist. So he's not someone. He'd be someone that I'm fairly scared of not having potentially. As long as you've got a route there, though. And then I think the dream's dead as well for like Harvey Elliott. I was wondering about maybe would Elliott get a start or would Jones get a start? They might have been a cheap option, but it looks like Szoboszlai and McAllister, the dual 10s. Gravenberch was the holder.
Yeah, I really like the look of McAllister just because of his all-round game. Like some set pieces, obviously he can score goals. Really high tackles last year. So, yeah, interesting.
He had that run of scoring goals, didn't he? Constantly. Yeah, I would be interested in taking him under the 4 mil. And Tony said he's got Szoboszlai, haven't you?
Yeah.
He did have.
Yeah, still sat in my team.
Palace, I think that's probably near enough how they all line up now. If Gay started though.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
Can't be that close to a move, maybe. Munoz, and then your boy, Kamada, grabbing a goal.
I think that's pretty much how they're going to set up Palace. Don't see it being any different.
I've seen a few people mention Dean Henderson as a keeper option over these last couple of weeks now because Johnson said he's going.
Yeah.
There's the B team on Liverpool, but probably not much to say on that. Although Quansah, if we've got any Liverpool fans, let us know how now do you think he could be at 3 million? Because that's if he starts and he's not getting 1 match on the bench, 1 match starting, he could be valued at 3 million.
Yeah.
And then I think that's probably how Arsenal are going to line up as well. Now, starting the season, it doesn't look like Calafiori come on, but he came on at centre back. And both the centre backs getting on the goal scorers list. We said we didn't think that the Arsenal centre backs were worth their money, but got an attacking return in them. Declan Rice 2 assists. I think it was both corners. I think.
Yeah, he played really well today, Rice. Could be an interesting one with his tackles as well, with his sunset pieces.
Well, and it seems like he's not going to be that deepest role as well.
Yeah.
When he plays, does seem to do all right.
So you think Zinchenko's won his place back then, left back for now?
A few of my mates that went to it said best player on the pitch today. And he got a goal in the last game as well. He said he looks back, but I mean...
Yeah, he'll be back for 30 minutes and then he'll get injured.
And then, we've got some tough games. I mean, game week 2, Aston Villa away. I feel like we'd probably be looking to try and get Calafiori in by then, but we'll see. Final 2. Well, no, 1 more after that, actually. So Brentford, I don't think there's going to be many takers. But Mbuemo and Biss are both getting on the score sheet, and Sharda. So all front 3 if Tony was to go. But Tony did come on at half time in that one. And then Chelsea.
You're not shouting at Norgard?
Oh yeah, he come out on the spreadsheet looking quite good, didn't he, for average points?
Yeah, I think it was like 1. Was it 1? I have to double check it.
Yeah, for value for money, he was one of the top picks.
1.9 points per million. Yeah, so looks quite good. 83 tackles last year.
He's not the fanciest of picks, is he? But
no. He has had spurts of scoring goals and assists, though. Last year, he only got 3 goals and 3 attacking returns, 2 goals, 1 assist. But yeah, a few years ago, I remember him being really good on Sky as an enabler. For 2 million, it might be a good player to have first to start with.
Could be worth it. One of these dirty picks is going to do it.
Yeah.
Christie is going to score the first game.
Yeah.
And then Chelsea with their massive squad.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's one of them. Like say that Madueke looks all right, doesn't he? 3 million, but can you be sure any of these lads are going to start?
No, and Palmer come on second half and then played on the right hand side. You got Neto to come in.
Yeah.
Sterling. Yeah, there's so many options.
Too many options. We don't like that in fancy football.
Yeah, it looks like this striker's got injured, and I don't know whether they're just resting Nkunku, but he wasn't starting in this one. Maybe he came on.
You got to think that Jackson comes back in and plays through middle there, don't you?
Your boy Jackson.
Yeah.
Let's have a look. Nkunku came on at half time. Cole Palmer come on at half time. Jackson on 56 minutes. You had Sterling as well, tossing. Oh, yeah, big old squad. Last one. I didn't get to watch this one yesterday. Did you watch it? Carabao Cup?
Bit parts are watching it.
Unity Shield. Got Carabao on the brain here.
Yeah. The City side, with that back four, you've probably seen that start.
Yeah.
Against Chelsea away, with keeper as well. Then you've got McAtee, Nico O'Reilly, Oscar Bob, even Doku safe. Yeah, I think there'll be some changes in there for City in the front six. Front five. Haaland will obviously start. But yeah, decent game. Chances both ends.
Calvin Phillips didn't keep his spot at centre back.
Yeah, and this is what I say about Pep as well, because he spoke up about Phillips, did he? Or never knew he could play so well there, and we might be able to just get the best out of him now. And then he's nowhere to be seen. And then Oscar Bob, like I say, he's obviously had a very good pre-season, and he spoke up about him, but we'll probably not see him for 6, 7, 8 games.
Yeah, they've got De Bruyne. De Bruyne came off the bench. Ake come off the bench. Bernardo Silva.
Yeah.
They could come in, couldn't they? Savio. And then Mateus Nunes as well. So, like you say, Calvin Phillips stayed on the bench. Someone had said to me, Edison obviously starting as well. You imagine he's going to keep his number one spot?
Yeah, I think it's sorted now. They've had a chat with Pep and he's agreed to stay. So I think that's just cemented Edison back in number one, no doubts.
Can you see yourself starting with any of these United players?
No, not yet.
No, I mean, Bruno Fernandes is obviously the best one. Like I said, he's the only one I would like on my team, but just can't get there at the minute.
Yeah, he's just too much money to put out for. If Fernandes were playing at City, it might change my mind, but it's he's just a bit too expensive at the minute.
Lovely. Well, cheers everyone for staying tuned with that one. A bit longer with those bits on there, but I thought that was quite important to throw in. It saves everyone a job of digging out all of these one by one as well. Definitely. You could maybe just take a screenshot of those slides if you want to get an idea of what the lineups will be like. Link to the Patreon in the description below. Get access to our Discord, exclusive articles, early access to this pod, live streams, Ben's fixture ticker. So the link in the description below for that. Where we've been doing a long one, should we just leave these on the screens for the cash leagues, or do you want to plug them?
Yep, get involved in the cash leagues. Simple as that. They're on the screens.
Screenshot them.
Yeah, screenshot them or check it out on Twitter on the main site. But I think they're I think they're tagged pinned to the top of the main Twitter at Dream Team Tonic.
And there's the other one, Tag Team League. Come get involved.
Yeah, don't leave it until the last minute to get involved because you will probably miss out because we're not going to be waiting around all night for you on Friday night.
Yeah.
But that's it. Cheers, everyone. We'll see you.
Thanks very much.
On the next pod. Cheers, guys.
Yeah.
Oh, also, one last thing. We've got our mini series where we've been doing team reveals with managers. We've had James so far. We've had Fergie from Fantasy Football Hub. And then we've had Matt Woolley as well, who's had a top 10 finish on Dream Team. That one that's out for our Patreon members, should be out soon for everyone else. So like, subscribe, get kept up to date when they come out. Cheers.
Cheers, everyone.
Cheers.